Hello, all. So, welcome to the day two review of the Perth test. It was a totally different kind of a day today, like something Indian fans would be thankful for. Given the batting collapses we have had in the recent New Zealand series, as well as what we have been having in test matches, the top order not contributing much. So, this was probably much needed from an Indian fans point of view to see what we are actually capable of, what the top order is capable of, especially. And hats off to Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul for the way they applied themselves today. Like playing with soft hands, respecting the conditions, though the conditions eased out a bit, but still it was no way a flat pitch at all. It was something like 172 for zero at stumps, like something unimaginable yesterday, given the rate at which the game was moving along. We probably thought India would have maybe be 7-8 down today, or something like that. So, I mean, this is kudos to them, and hopefully they continue on with this lead they have, a very crucial lead as well. So I've got Pranav here with me. So before we start, so let's start from the beginning. Actually, I think Alex Carey, the informed player, got out first ball from Jasprit Bumrah, and then Josh Hazelwood and Mitchell Stark kind of delayed, took a lot of time out of the game. They didn't necessarily score a lot of runs, but like I think that actually, from my perspective, I think that actually helped the Indian openers and the batters' mindset because they kind of saw the pitch getting better to bat on. Like if two tailenders, not necessarily tailenders, but lower order batsmen can actually hang out as much as possible, even though the ball was soft. I think that gives some sort of confidence to the batsman coming in. So in hindsight, maybe that was a good thing to happen. Though necessarily we should have wrapped them up a bit earlier. So overall, Pranav, so what's your take on this glorious day for Indian cricket?
I think Perth, especially Optus, actually are good for batting the first 2 days. In days 2 and 3. Yesterday there was a lot of seam movement around, and it did more than what it was expected to do. So quite naturally we were ahead in the game, but I expected Carey to score some runs so that we get a lead of around 30, 40. From there we take it on. But I think the way Bumrah bowled, as always, he should have had
Right.
six, but Pant went the wrong way and it edged and went through the slips. But that would have been his best test figures ever. Um, but I think overall, from the context of the game, India are well ahead. I wouldn't say they are way ahead because that'll be too bullish or foolish to say that they are
True.
way ahead. I'd rather say they are ahead. They are ahead by a fair bit. And what's demoralizing for Australia is none of their plans worked. Um, so typically, what happens is when the sun bakes down on this sort of a wicket where you have a lot of grass in the beginning itself, the grass tends to go brown. There was a pitch comparison between days 1 and 2 where the pitch was green and then it went to brown. Now what will happen is slowly the grass will be dried out. I think it might have been completely dried out, um, and then by I think the end of second session or the start of third session, it'll start opening up. So there's already invariable bounce in the wicket.
Right.
So the ball that Manas bowled to Rahul that suddenly shot up, there were a couple of few deliveries that stayed low. So there's already invariable bounce, so which will be encouraging. But at the same time, what I feel is India should bat at least 2 sessions tomorrow, around 50 overs if they bat. That will be completely demoralizing because what happens is when you're batting for 50 overs, you're scoring around 3 runs and over roughly. So when you're scoring around 3 runs and over, there are two set batters. Obviously, they need to restart, but that slowly starts taking mental, stress on the bowlers because
Right.
we have to also keep in mind that the same set of bowlers will play almost the entire series, albeit one or two changes here and there. But if you get them deflated in the first test, then it'll have a long lasting impact in the entire series. I'm not saying, oh, they'd falter the entire series. Absolutely not. It's just that, that sort of mental pressure if you put on them. Say you give them a target of 360, 370, you're already ahead by 308, 280. So it's just a matter of scoring another 100, runs. Uh, you have all 10 wickets in hand. That is what they should look to do. And maybe post T, they should declare and then let Australia score those runs, because in Perth chasing is next to impossible as per the records. But we can't count Australia lightly. So you should have that cushion of 350. If you can push, maybe go to 400. There's enough time left. I mean, you have 270 overs to be bowled across 3 days. Um, yeah, maybe if the worst case, the test will be over tomorrow. If the best case scenario, the test will go to day 4. That's what I see. But this has been a fabulous comeback. I think uh,
Right.
if India go on to win this test, this will be one of the greatest victories. At least it goes up there after Adelaide 2018, perhaps Gabba. This might come because Perth was difficult. Um, so yeah, it's been a fabulous day, and for the first time since 2018, after Pujara and Kohli, two batters have batted out two continuous sessions in Australia. So that is Jaiswal and KL Rahul. So hats off. I think I can't talk enough of KL, but let's get to that a little later.
Yeah. And also to keep in mind, like what you said regarding exhausting the Australian bowlers, like tomorrow is also supposed to be a very hot day in Perth. So that is also an important to keep in mind regarding the five test series. And also just one more thing, like before we come on to this KL Rahul. So if we go back to the Hazelwood and Stark partnership, so I know the ball became a bit softer and the conditions also eased out a little bit. But do you feel that apart from Jasprit Bumrah, like we basically saw even with the soft ball, Jasprit Bumrah was generating much more bounce and things were happening much more than compared to say Nitish Reddy or even Harshit, for example, like they were not that consistent enough to hit the right areas all the time. So do you think that can be a maybe in Perth that won't be a problem in the fourth innings with the like uneven cracks and everything? But do you think that can be a problem in the flatter conditions with our bowling lineup?
No, I think look, Australia will be wary of India's strengths, and if you give them flat wickets, you know it'll end up nowhere, because the problem is that both sides batting units, obviously India's clicked today, but Australia and India's batting units by form are almost equal. So if you give them flat conditions, just like Ahmedabad, uh, the last BGT in India, it will not be a fair competition. So if you now they're saying Shami will be back after the
Mm.
Adelaide test, so naturally the bowling starts looking a little more experienced. I think Adelaide will have Akashdeep or whatever. We'll wait and see. But uh, cleaning up the tail has been an issue. I agree, but I think they did not bowl that badly, because if Stark would have scored runs, if Stark would have hit a few fours, then it would have been a very different story. But I think they they bowled the right lengths. Harshit hit a few on Stark's head. They had a few banter as well. So yeah, I mean Bumrah is a class apart, but the kind of comparison that we're doing with Bumrah and others, it's sort of unreasonable. Obviously, I agree that Siraj should have done better, sort of cleaned up the tail. But no, I think they bowled well. But the problem was the field setting, because they allowed Stark to get through those singles, Hazelwood to rotate strike and give it to Stark, the first ball
Right.
of the new over. I think that needs to be rectified, because obviously it won't matter in the fourth innings if you have if you have plenty of runs in the bank. But then in a situation where it's just 150 and the team is like 70 odd behind, could have saved a few runs. But I mean, I seriously don't agree that 14 runs would have made a truckloads of difference. The lead would have been 232. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. So I mean, the plans were there. It's just that the execution was not there. So yeah, they can learn. It's just their first test, or a couple of tests, and I don't think Siraj has played ever in Perth. So uh, Yeah, it's their first game in Perth, the entire attack's first game in Perth, except Bumrah. So you can give them some leeway. I think it's too harsh on them to be very, pinpointing, saying, "Look, you could have cleaned up the tail a lot earlier." I think to pick 3 wickets of just 35 runs in the entire session is incredible. So yeah, take nothing away from them because they have put us in this position. So
So now coming to the our openers, basically Jaiswal and KL Rahul. Like, what do you think? Like they have done differently this innings, or is it basically mostly the condition? Like I know the conditions eased out, but like I like from my observation, I've seen them play with soft hands a bit more. Like the balls weren't really carrying to the slips, even it was like half edging them or something. And also like they have been very like meticulous in their head positioning and playing the ball late. I think that's very important, especially Jaiswal as well, given the drive he made in the first innings. So what impressed you basically from this opening partnership overall?
I think what impressed me is the sort of risks that they took were not very risky. So they waited for the error in length. So if you look at the partnership first, KL has been playing close to his body, like
Mm-hmm.
after technique, every single time he's facing the pacer. So he's not, you know, letting the bat away from his body or throwing his bat away from his body. Jaiswal at
Mm-hmm.
times did that, but then KL played the catalyzing effect of telling him, stop it, don't do it. So, what actually makes this partnership really well is that Jaiswal actually, suppressed himself. It's not his natural game to actually play 193 balls or 200
Mm-hmm.
plus balls and just get to 90 runs. It's not his natural game. So he understood the situation. He had the game awareness. And with KL Rahul, I think the only problem is consistency because that has been a problem. He somehow finds his way to score runs overseas somewhere at least, but then doesn't go on to carry that forward. So I hope this is just his series of all class because he looked the best batter of the lot because just left balls at a length, didn't bother playing at troubling lengths, didn't bother playing at short balls, uh, not just defended it in front of his eyes, always letting the ball come to him rather than chasing the ball. That one straight drive that he played off the textbook, I think that
Right, right, yeah.
actually shows that how concentrated he is, even though he's just got 62. I just hope he converts it to a very big one, probably 100, 150 sort of score, so that even if he doesn't, that doesn't mean that won't undermine his contribution in this test overall. Because there's been a lot of talk about what happens when Rohit comes back, but we'll see that when he comes back. Uh, but what I like about this partnership is how Jaiswal took his time for 50 and then lost it away. And again, after tea, he just quietly went about his things. In the first 17 overs, there were no boundaries at all. And even then, it continued. So for after 25 overs, they got the boundaries. Then they scored runs in a flurry. So in the last session, that the 85 runs that you saw, 66 were scored in the last hour or so. So it's just that sort of understanding that they have that okay, the opposition is on top. We'll put ourselves down. We'll grind them, and then we'll score runs. So yeah, I think that's what this partnership is. I hope this continues tomorrow as well, and it sets up for a cracking Sunday.
True. And I think there was one spell later in the day from Josh Hazelwood, which like the ball was doing a bit. I think Jaiswal especially tackled it really well.
Hint
I
of
mean,
reverse because the
right,
ball is not older and
right.
it sort of shined from one side and the other is
Mm,
normal. So there's a hint of reverse, but then what happens is since the pitch is flattened out, it won't reverse a lot. I mean, you will obviously have to have that skill to reverse the
mm,
ball. And in this lineup, I think only Stark can best reverse the ball. But Australia's problem is they're sort of missing Cameron Green because Mitchell
mm,
Marsh's bowling is not helping them. So even Nathan Lyon's bowling is not helping them. He has been effective. He has got a couple of balls to turn, but it's not been as pressing effective as it should be,
True.
because Nathan Lyon is actually the best bowler of the lot in Perth because he's taken two fifers, but effectively he has taken zero wickets in this test. And the Indian batters have been comfortable playing him because, yes, there have been odd balls where this oohs and ahs have come, but I think they're missing a control bowler. And that's where I think Siraj and Harshit did a really good job supporting Bumrah, because if you compare the attacks, it's sort of similar, right? You have one off spinner, you have one medium pace all rounder, and three pacers. So Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood do their job really well. But then when it comes to control, uh, that's where I think Bumrah was smart in rotating these bowlers time and again, because yesterday none of the secondary bowlers bowled. When I say secondary, it's the fourth and the fifth bowler did not bowl at all. So yeah, I mean, Cummins tried all tricks. It didn't work. And that's why we are 172 for no loss. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I think like one more like observation is basically with the pitch getting eased out a bit. I think Australia will be really disappointed that they did not have a few wickets in hand today morning. Like then I think they would have like maybe crossed India's lead, crossed India's total of 150, and then maybe it could have been a different kind of a game. So I think that's something they will be like disappointed about. But I think that's the speciality of Jasprit Bumrah. Like we all saw what happened yesterday, like in the last two sessions, last session basically. So exciting day to look forward to tomorrow. So what's your like prediction tomorrow? What target are we setting tomorrow, given the state of things right now?
I think anything over 320 will be tough to chase.
Hmm.
Given that we have Bumrah, we have Siraj, obviously with the new ball, but I'll keep a close eye on Harshit Rana and Washington Sundar, because you have a hit the tech bowler. Bumrah is always a hit the tech bowler. He can do both. He can swing the ball and hit the tech. But somebody like Harshit Rana with those cracks opening up ever so slightly, hitting the cracks, one spitting through, one staying low. So I think there'll be a lot of close calls. I'll be seriously glued to the TV. I wish I could be there, but for
Yeah.
obvious reasons I couldn't be. But yeah, I mean, it's just enthralling. But what I'd like India to do would be to take the first hour easily, because we're just 50. I think we are just 50, 55 overs in. There's
Yeah.
still
50.
a lot of time to go to the new ball. Around 25 overs. That's one session. So there'll be a hint of movement in the morning. But if you counter that, by that time Jaiswal should go to his 100. He's 90 not out. So if you counter that, then uh, don't go for quick runs. That's what I'll think, because you have enough time in this test. Just bat, and bat. Bat enough so that you sort of start feeling that Australia are just, the shoulders have dropped, the plans are not
True.
working out. If that sort of feeling comes in, just bat, and bat. Just bat until you haul out. That's all. That's the thing. The score line should not matter at all, because more the margin of victory, more it'll be the pressure on Australia, because Australia themselves won't take a lot of pressure as much as the media would put on them. So uh, if you get 400 and you win by 200 odd runs, it will be more pressure on Australia, because the media will go all gaga over this victory. So uh, I just want that to happen probably. But if there's a collapse, I think India are safe enough to afford a collapse. When I say safe enough, it just means that, even if a 3 for 6 happens or three wickets continuously fall, um,
250. We are good enough. Like
250,
target.
260, 270, I don't expect them to bundle out for under 250, because 216, 250 is not too far. So 270, 280. If they get closer to 300, if they cross the 300 mark, then Australia will start worrying about it seriously. So I just want that sort of mental pressure, stress to be put on them, so that it just bursts and makes Border Gavaskar Trophy even more interesting, because it's a 5 test series. You don't you constantly want some entertainment from the Aussie media saying, "Oh, look, they've defeated us in Perth for the first time." This that. So yeah, I mean, I just want that sort of pressure to be on Australia so that they just falter. I mean, if you get them under 100 runs, giving a 300 run target, you could just say, "Oh, look, we just beat them by 200 odd runs." So that sort of mind games is what I'm looking forward to.
That's fun as well. I mean, yeah. So as we discussed, I think apart from the mind games, also like another logical point is that to exhaust the Aussie fast bowlers, like I think just there is sufficient time in the game. Day 4, 5 is yet to come and stuff. So like time will never be a factor. It's just that wait for the pitch to take time out of the game. Wait for the pitch to deteriorate much more, and then unleash Bumrah and the other bowlers on the Aussies. So yeah, so thanks for watching this. So we will be back tomorrow covering day three, another exciting test match day in store for us. So hope you enjoyed watching this. Do drop in your comments or whatever you feel is your take on today's day or what you want to see tomorrow. So in the comments as well, and you can like follow us and on the Cricket Pod as well. So and on in Twitter. So thanks for watching everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.